And we are back. Welcome, guys. My name is DK, and in this video, we're going to be breaking down the two-game semifinal Olympic basketball slate. Sad that it is over because we have been absolutely dominating Olympics for DFS. We do a 20K to first, which is really, really nice. But yeah, if this is your first time watching, guys, cover content for NBA, Olympic basketball, DFS, NFL, player prop stuff like Prize Picks, Underdog, Parlay Play. Underdog, they're the sponsor of this video. You can use the code DKDFS for a $250 deposit match bonus, or you can use the link down below. Would highly recommend it. They have a ton of different Olympic basketball props. They'll have some NFL preseason props up as well. Also, if you guys are playing the NFL preseason slate tomorrow, just made a video breaking down that two-game slate. And if you guys are looking for more content, you can check my Patreon linked in the description. All right, so before we get into the video, we can quickly recap yesterday. So another huge day for us in the Discord. So we won the showdown slate. I love to see that. That would be the women's showdown. And then this was yesterday. We had multiple people finish second in the big tournament. Another big win for Calvin, super sharp, $200 into $1,700. Another, again, second place finish. We prioritized, my core was Jokic, Bruno, and then Dos Santos there. So the Bruno faders were severely punished. You love to see that. $15 and $800. It's really has been a movie, the Olympics for DFS. So see if we can keep it going. I had a huge day for pick six. I turned $25 into like $600. Was a little bit tilted because I had a great start for DFS. Then I had Raul Neto, who got injured, only played 4 minutes. That was really brutal. Had a lot of Brazil, had basically the perfect start in the early game, but got punished there with a random injury for no reason. But yeah, let's just get into it. So we'll start off with Germany and France. All right. So for Germany, I expect them to continue to run the same starting lineup. That's going to be Schroeder, Franz Wagner, Vautman, Tice, and then Obst. I will say, I think if there were to switch someone out, it probably would be Andreas Obst. Isaac Bonga has been playing well off the bench, so maybe there's a chance to try to go a little bit of a bigger lineup and throw him in there for Obst, who has been struggling. But the top two guys here, you got Franz and Schroeder. Franz is 9.2K. Schroeder is 7.7. Disregarding price, I think it's very close. But when you factor in salary between these two, I think you got to prefer Schroeder point per dollar. Just cheaper by like what, $1,500, right? So I like the ceiling on both. I think Schroeder will be way more popular. Doesn't mean you can't play Franz. We know Franz has a very high ceiling. And again, the offense is running through these two guys. Now the front court here, Daniel Tice is 7-1. I think he probably has the highest ceiling of the front court guys. Mid-20s minutes now in each of the last 3 games. Would expect him to continue to play mid-20s minutes here as long as he avoids foul trouble. So a solid contrarian play. Vautman at 6'5", lost some minutes last time out, played 13. Thiemann was playing pretty well off the bench. I think I just would rather if I'm going to play one of these German centers, I'd rather go up and get to Tice for a little bit more. Mo Wagner is 6.3K, so continues to play his normal role. He's going to come off the bench, play mid to high teens minutes, and be super productive. I think he's a fine contrarian play. His upside is probably 25 to 30. Minutes upside's probably around 20. But still playable in tournaments. And then, Andreas Obst, not completely out of play if he starts, but the minutes have been ticking down. He did have one decent game. It really just comes down to, can he make his shots? I think if he starts and he makes a couple shots, they could extend him. They could play in mid-20s minutes, but still not a super cheap price point. I do have Anderson Bonga. I think he'll be relatively popular. They're going to play 28 minutes last time out. Has been playing well for Germany. I think Isaac Bonga, solid value. And I don't mind Thiemann at 3.7. Not an amazing point per minute player, but they played 23 minutes last time out. I don't think we can expect that again. I think on average, we're probably going to get, 15 or so minutes from Thiemann, but reasonable value here. I think he'll probably be a bit lower owned than some of the French value, which we'll talk about here in a bit. And the last guy to really mention is Weiler Bab off the bench. He's been playing, around 20 minutes in 3 of the last 4 games. Awful point per minute, but not completely out of play because at least he is in the rotation. Now, France, so they completely changed it up last time out. Gobert dealing with a little bit of a finger injury, but they said that the limited minutes was not due to injury. It was because they wanted to switch it up. So they went with the starting lineup of Wembanyama, Batum, Frank Ntilikina, Yabusele, and Cordnier. And they really switched up the rotation, too. They tightened up the rotation, which you do like to see. Now, Wembanyama's at the top at 10.8K. He had a pretty bad game for his standards, but I like him as a bounce back candidate here. And I think he's going to be underowned. The reason I say that is because we know how it's easy to read what casual players are going to do, right? They see sub 40 Fantasy points for Wembanyama each of the last 2 games. They're just going to avoid him. We know the ceiling is 50 plus for Wembanyama. And I think when you have Jokic on the slate, people are going to gravitate towards him. I think Jokic is safer in the better point per dollar play. But I think Wembanyama will be a lot lower owned than Jokic. And if you want to try to get to Wembanyama over Jokic, that's fine. If you want to try to play in both and then get value, that's also fine. There definitely is enough value on the slate to make this work if you really want to. So, yeah, I like Wembanyama. I think he'll be under-owned. I have no interest in Gobert. I don't think he's going to start either. I think he's going to come off the bench. So no interest there. Evan Fournier also came off the bench. Wasn't doing much until the end. Kind of got hot there. He's playable in tournaments, but 7K is still a little pricey there for Fournier. Batum at 6.7K should play big minutes. It's just he hasn't really done a ton since that game 1. He's fine, though, because of the price point and because of the amount of minutes that he should play. Koulibaly did not, or played like 1 minute, I think, last game. Cannot go there. Frank Ntilikina, I think, is an okay contrarian play if he starts again. Did not shoot well. Also fall out in 17 minutes. I think he could have played a bit more if he didn't fall out, and he's relatively cheap. And these other French guys below him are getting a lot more ownership. So if Ntilikina starts again, I do think he's in play for tournaments. I think my favorite value would be Yabusele for France. I've been talking about him every single slate. He underperformed game 1. I've been playing him ever since. We got the news that he was confirmed starting. I swapped to get him in. That worked out in a big way. I forget what my 2v2 swap was, but I left a little bit of salad on the table and went to Yabusele and Cordnier once I knew both were confirmed starting. I think with Yabusele, he's a good point per minute player. If he starts again, 5.2K, I think he's a really, really solid option. Strazel was also a DNP last game. Again, France run a very tight rotation. Lazort came off the bench, played 19 minutes. I think on average, he's play about 15 minutes. I think he's a solid value. Cordnier, I think, will be extremely popular at 3.8K. I will say, though, do not expect anywhere close to what we got from him last game. Cordnier is not the best point per minute player. He shot 6 of 10 from the field and had 3 steals. So I'm not saying to fade him, but he is not going to, I don't think he's in anywhere close to what he did last game. And then DeColo is a DNP. Albisi was in the rotation. He's just awful point per minute as well. But he at least should see some minutes. So, yeah, France basically X'd out Gobert from the rotation, which is wild. They X'd out Koulibaly. They X'd out Strazel. They X'd out DeColo. So they did run a much tighter rotation. I expect them to run that same starting lineup. Or, maybe Fournier starts over one of those guys since he did play well at the end of the game there. Serbia and USA. So we hinted that Serbia could switch up the starting lineup, and they did. Right, Marinkovic had been struggling, and they went to, was it Dobric or Guduric? Who started that last game? I have to look it back up. It was one of those, it was one of those other Serbian guards that got the start. Let me see who it was. I forget. So that was Tuesday, Serbia. So it was Dobric. Yeah. So they technically played 10 guys, but Marinkovic only played 8 minutes on the bench. Davidovic only played 8 minutes as well. So Serbia also ran a relatively tight rotation. Yeah, Jokic, he should be the most expensive spend, or the most popular spend up on the slate, I should say. 11.8K, still enough value to get him in. Gonna need him to play as many minutes as possible, as they are pretty big underdogs here against the USA. So yeah, Jokic looks great at the top. Super high floor plus ceiling. I think Bogdan Bogdanovic at 8.8K should play low to mid 30s minutes. This is where the offense is running through, right? It is Bogdanovic and it is Jokic. So I like the 2 Serbian spend ups a good amount. Micic continues to play well off the bench. He should play low 20s minutes at 6.9K. I think he's a reasonable play. Petrusev dealt with a little bit of foul trouble early on. Ended up playing 29 minutes. Now keep an eye on the status of Nikola Jovic, who was sick last game and did not play. If Jovic misses again, you should feel more confident by the minutes for Petrusev, who went from like around 20 minutes to 29. So that actually is pretty important. I think if Jovic is out, again, Petrusev gets the biggest bump. Avramovic continues to start, continues to play around 20 minutes. 6K, a little bit trickier to get to him, but still playable. Moltonov is 5.4. He'll play a little bit alongside Jokic, about a fantasy point per minute player. I think he's another reasonable value play. And then you got Dobric and Goodrich. Dobric got the start, played 24 minutes. Fine value. Like him a little bit better if he starts again. And then Goodrich, been playing around 20 minutes in the last 3 games. Neither of those guys are great point per minute, but they're relatively cheap. Dobric 5.2, Goodrich 4.6. Firmly in play. Marinkovic, a little tougher for me to prioritize. The minutes have ticked down 8 and 10 minutes over the last couple games. I think I would just rather get to Goodrich or Dobric at a similar price point. And that's basically it. Now, finally, the USA. So USA have been involved in just a ton of blowouts, right? Also, Embiid got a little bit banged up last time out. He did not play in the second half of that game. It was due to ankle discomfort. So we'll keep an eye on it with the status there of Joel Embiid. But I think the USA will keep the same starting lineup. That would be LeBron, Steph, Booker, Drew, and Joel Embiid. But if Embiid is hurt, then they're probably going to go with Anthony Davis in the starting lineup. So we'll keep an eye on that one for sure. But yeah, LeBron James at 9.7. I've basically been crossing him off most of these slates just because USA have been massive favorites. There's been other better spend ups. But the price is down a little bit on him, and this game should be competitive. Like, he played 27 minutes in the one somewhat competitive game against Serbia earlier. So I do think LeBron is in play on this slate. Again, I've basically been crossing off most of USA, but we're in the semifinals now. I think they're going to lean on the main guys a little bit more here. So I do have some interest in LeBron. I do have some interest in some of these other USA guys as well. Kevin Durant off the bench, playable in tournaments. Steph, Devin Booker in the starting lineup. Neither have been amazing. Steph has not really done a ton. Devin Booker, 8.1K, had a decent game last time out. They're both viable in tournaments. Anthony Edwards has played very well. The only issue I have with Anthony Edwards is just that a lot of his production has come in garbage time. I believe he only played 5 first half minutes in that Brazil game and then played a ton in the second half. So that does worry me a little bit. If you think that USA absolutely destroy Serbia, then I think you want a little more interest in Ant. And then the big. So you got AD, you got Embiid, you got Bam. If Embiid starts, he's in play. Obviously, he got benched last time out, which is a little bit concerning. But we know Embiid's solid point per minute. Anthony Davis, 8.2. I think is the big that you're going to feel the best about for USA. Also has power forward eligibility, which is nice. And then Bam Adebayo, they could use him defensively to try to guard Jokic. He's playable, but I think I like to see him a little bit more with AD at a similar price point. And then you got Tatum, who came off the bench, played about 20 minutes. I don't love his upside, assuming he comes out the bench. I think the last guy I'll mention is Drew Holiday. Should start, should play low to mid 20s minutes if this game stays competitive. He played 24 minutes last time out against Serbia. So I do have some interest in Drew. I don't think I get to Derek White. He might play a little bit, and then Halliburton should be a DNP. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap it up for the video. Again, if you are looking for more content, you can check out the Patreon link in the description. And if you do enjoy the content, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Really appreciate all the support as always, guys.